Yes, Angel Gray, Fox Sports Ohio. Um, Coach, when you're just looking at this being the last game of the first half, just what's the message to your team to finish strong and not get too anxious to get to the All-Star break?
That's it. Just finish. I think we've built some really positive things over the past week and a half, and it's important that we continue to build on those things. And it's a matter of, how we compete, how we share the ball. We need to make sure we get 48 minutes of our best at that tonight.
And just looking at this first half of the season, what stood out to you about your team's play? You did say the positive things, but what thing are you taking away that you are tipping your hat to? And then also after the break, what do you want to see from your team then?
I think the resiliency has been the most important thing. Our ability to bounce back, our ability to stick together through adverse times. To me, that's the most important thing. And again, I expect us to continue to grow coming out of the break. I think, we started to do some things better. There's still room for improvement. Hopefully at that point, we're a whole team and we get a chance to see what we look like as a healthy roster and see where we need to improve in that area and how good we possibly can be.
And then the last one for me, Coach, I know just with the matchup tonight against Indiana, they're very similar as far as their post presence being very dominant. You guys are second as far as points in the paint, they're fourth, especially with them averaging about 6 blocks per game. What is the message or what's the game plan in countering their presence?
With them, you have to be extremely physical. They are a team that likes to hit first in the half court. They're sixth in the league in pace. So they get out and get some early buckets, and normally those early buckets end up being at the rim. So we need to make sure our transition defense is solid, make them face our half-court defense, and then we have to be extremely physical in the half-court, throughout their sets, and then when their plays are over, we got to do a great job of keeping them off the glass so we can get out and get our offensive opportunities going.
Kelsey.
Kelsey Russo, The Athletic, KJB.
Hey, Kelsey.
To start off, Torian was listed as questionable. Is there an update on him or to see how he goes through pregame?
Yeah, we'll see how he goes through pregame.
Okay. And then kind of building off Angel's question, when you came into the season, sort of had an idea, plans of where you wanted to see this team go, obviously with the injuries and everything, but where do you see this team standing in those plans that you wanted for them and just kind of those areas that you want to see improve?
I think we have a clear understanding of what our identity needs to be. And that was what we talked about coming into this year. The foundational piece of, how hard we compete, how selfless we play. I think we have a clear idea that's who we are and who we want to be every single night. That's the start. Obviously the injuries and the trades and those things have, put a few bumps in the road for us. But I think the foundation piece of what our identity looks like has been pretty sound.
Marla.
Marla Ridenour, Akron Beacon Journal. Kevin loves getting a humanitarian award, at the Cleveland Sports Awards tomorrow. I just wondered if you, just everything Kevin's done, especially during the pandemic, how impressed you've been by him.
Again, knowing Kevin for as long as I have, seeing his growth and development as a human being from a young kid into a man, and seeing this version of Kevin after not working with him for 8 or 9 years or something like that, it's been really impressive. The willingness to sacrifice his own security and coming out and talking about mental health and those types of things and the stigmas that go along with that. That says a lot about him as a person. The impact that he has, particularly in my mind with young people, to give young people an opportunity to have or hear a voice from someone who's gone through things similarly to them. And hopefully that's enough to, create change and different outlets for them to reach out to so they don't have to go through the same things that Kevin went through. And that's huge. That's obviously he has a lot of focus here, but his reach is nationally. And there's a lot of kids out there that, have an opportunity to hear from him and learn from him, so they don't have to struggle the way that he did. And hopefully they can get the help they need and the tools that they need. So I'm extremely proud of Kevin. But again, you get to know him more and more, and you understand what he's really about.
And just one quick thing, you didn't have any guys on the Rising Stars team. And is that somewhat disappointing, or is there a balance between these guys resting?
I think we had guys who deserved to go, to be honest with you. I think, our young guys have proven again and again that they belong, especially with their peers, and then, throughout the league as well. So, I'm disappointed, by the voting. But again, we won't use that as anything but motivation to continue to get better and help our team win more games.
Thank you.
Fedor.
Chris Fedor, Cleveland.com. Hey, JB.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Hey, it seems like so many of the guys on the team have really embraced Dean Wade. Why is it you think he's so easy to root for and love?
He's a really likable dude, to be honest with you. No matter what his circumstances were here over the past, season and a half, he always approached it the same way. He always had a positive outlook. He was always, appreciative of the opportunity. He's a really good teammate. Like he's always cheering for everybody else, even when he wasn't getting his turn. And I think guys see that and they appreciate it, and they want to see a guy like that be successful.
And I know for you personally, you have such a strong relationship with Lloyd Pierce. It kind of got lost the other day before the game against Houston, but him getting fired by the Atlanta Hawks, what was your reaction to that, JB?
I couldn't have been more disappointed. And, you think about, what leadership means and how leadership is treated. There has been no one who has been a bigger leader for the Coaches Association over the pandemic and through the, social justice movements than Lloyd Pierce. Lloyd Pierce led 29 other coaches down a path to create change. So I'm hard pressed to believe that there's questions of leadership there in Atlanta and in that locker room because I've seen it, too often. The impact that people have, in the community, again, no one had a larger impact in their community, no NBA coach to turn an entire state from red to blue in the movement that he was working with to help get out the vote. The sacrifices that he's made, the personal attacks that he's taken for that city, for that team. And it was just disappointing to see that, that loyalty wasn't reciprocated. He went above and beyond over and over again for that organization and that community. And you would think, you'd like to see him get a fair opportunity with a healthy roster, to start with, and understanding what that actually means to a team and how you have to deal with, your free agent signings, while one of them playing 9 games, one missing 10 games. Those are all things that impact winning and losing. And it was disappointing for me to see it happen. Somebody's going to be extremely fortunate to get Lloyd Pierce back on their sidelines. And I look forward to that for Lloyd and his family as well.
And JB, in a general sense, do you just feel like in the NBA overall, there's just a growing lack of patience when it comes to a process or a rebuild or whatever you want to phrase it as?
Yeah, I think it's organization by organization, Chris. I don't want to just, speak in generalities. But, I think understanding that there is a legitimate process and things don't happen overnight. Teams aren't built overnight. It takes time for people to gain trust, for them to truly understand offensive and defensive systems, for guys to build chemistry in a locker room. Like all those things take time. Young players take time to mature and figure out what their priorities are. And if you look at most cases, teams don't reach a level of success until their young players have been paid, right? Because there's all those things that interfere with that as well. So I just think that, there needs to be a larger understanding of what it takes to build team and what team actually means. It's not just, again, 15 dudes in a locker room doesn't equate to team. And I think there should be more patience and understanding that, that is going to take time. And as coaches, we know going into it that we'll take the brunt of it and we'll take the hit, and that's understood. But, there should be more respect for the process of team building and the time and patience that it takes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do two more, Tim Alcorn and then Jeremiah Johnson. Go ahead, Tim.
Tim Alcorn, Cavs Radio. Hey, JB.
Hey, Tim.
I'll circle back to the first half of the season type question. Has there been anything that has surprised you, either on the floor or player-wise, that perhaps you weren't anticipating when this all started against Charlotte?
Again, my focus has just been on the group. And the thing that I would say is most pleasing and probably not surprising is how quickly the group bonded together. And I watch them every single day, how they interact. And we got a bunch of new guys here, whether it's, trades or signings or injuries and guys coming back. We started the year with a lot of new faces and how quickly that group galvanized. And over again, I'll repeat it, for us to go through, that slump that we went through. And, you guys may have heard different, but I never heard finger pointing or, blame or anything like that. And to me, that's a testament to the guys' willingness to come together and understand, that it is going to be about the group and how we build team. That's the most important thing.
And then a question about tonight. Do you circle the last game before the AllStar game? Is it a game that if you win it can carry some momentum into that break?
We just need to continue to play that we've played, these past 4 games tonight. To me, that's the most important thing is, how do we finish the first half of this, especially with the way that we played most recently, is a way that we want to play. And I think we've been playing good basketball. So, we want to continue to play good basketball going into the break and, every night that we get an opportunity to. So, I try not to read too much into, the one game scenarios. It's more about the trends of what we're doing and which direction we're heading.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, last one, Jeremiah Johnson. Go ahead.
Hey, JB, thanks for the time. Jeremiah Johnson from Pacers TV in Indiana. Dylan Windler's first game against the Pacers, an Indianapolis native, due to injuries. How has he benefited your team coming off the bench, and what is maybe his biggest strength?
He's been awesome. He is one of those guys that on both sides of the ball, he makes you tick. He may not be the guy that finishes every possession with a shot or a score or, the stop on the defensive end, but he's the guy that keeps turning it over. The next rotation he makes, the extra pass he makes, he has the ability, obviously, to shoot the ball, which spreads the defense. He's been tremendous on the defensive boards. He's a guy that, again, he helps your team continue to move no matter the circumstances. And that's always beneficial.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Coach. Thanks, everybody. And we will see you all post-game.